Alright. We gotta lock in this shit, man. What the hell? No, we don't need no intro. We don't need an intro for this. Woohoo! What a finish that was. What a race. And my God, what a finish. We got a lot to talk about. We've got tempers. We got cars on their side. Great racing. 3x4 racing. Somehow, Chase Elliott, where did he come from? An owner is driving with his... I can't even talk. That's how all this race is. I can't even talk. By the way, you can blame all this on Kyle Busch, because when that tire carcass came out from his car with 15 laps ago, that's when everything just went gone out of the rails. It became a complete mess. I mean, when that happened, everyone came on a pit road. You had Chase Elliott, who took 4 tires, while everyone else took 2 tires, and he restarted like maybe 10th, 11th position. I was getting ready. I had it written down, getting ready to dog on Alan Gustafson. Why would you take 4 tires? But that's why he's a Cup champion and I'm not. I'm a nobody. You then had Denny Hamlin, who went from 1st to 6th, because Denny Hamlin, we're going to talk about him, but Denny Hamlin had the best car, led the most laps, I think swept the stages, but he went from 1st to 6th on that pit road sequence due to an issue with the jackman. That one, a new one, because his old one was suspended following what happened at Bristol a couple weeks ago. So that kind of set up Bell on the outside, Bubba Wallace on the inside. The two raced extremely hard. And then we had a caution come out because John Nemechek decided, you know what? I don't like Zane Smith, so I'm going to put him in the wall and I'm going to Casey Kane him and just have him on his side. That is the longest slide I think I've ever seen a car go on his side. The most nonchalant flip I've ever seen in NASCAR. Does a couple barrel rolls, lands on his wheels. Luckily he was okay. But then that set up for the next restart. And my goodness, what a finish that was. Now, to understand, you had Bubba Wallace and Tyler Reddick on the inside lane. Then you had JGR teammates, Christopher Bell and Chase Briscoe on the outside lane. So it's teammates on teammates. Bubba was getting on Reddick a little bit because he's like, listen, I need you to push me. We need to go. They both got a really good launch. Both Bell and Wallace got both great launches. But then entering 3 and 4, Briscoe goes up top, but then Bubba Wallace on the bottom lane moves up, and then he pushes Bell high. Bell has to let out the gas, and then look at this 3-wide scramble. Denny Hamlin, who was 6th, is now up to 2nd with his power steering issues. He's now in contention to win. And Wallace is now trying to block, but this time he's got to block not only the fastest car, he's got to block his owner in the process. So Wallace goes up the racetrack. Hamlin gets a run off the corner down the backstretch for the final time. Hamlin goes low. Wallace blocks. Hamlin goes low again. Dives it into the inside. Hamlin tries to make a stick, then just drives it way too hard, drifts up, hits Wallace. Wallace goes in the wall. Hamlin loses speed. Chase Elliott on the inside, 3 wide, takes the lead and steals the win for his 2nd win of 2025, his 2nd win at Kansas, and locks himself into the round of 8 in one of the most dramatic finishes you have ever seen in NASCAR in quite some time. Ironically, I feel like this is the most dramatic finish since the last time we were at Kansas, last spring, I should say, with that 3-wide battle between Kyle Larson and Chris Buescher, yes. And by the way, the 19 and Truex and Chase Elliott was also in it. So Elliott, I said this in the pre-race show. I said it. I said, Elliott, watch out for him. He was fast in practice. He's going to have a great shot to win here today, and he delivered. So as we take a look at the race results to the right on my screen, I want to give a good notice. 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 6th. Those were my starters for fantasy. I mean, literally, I should have picked Bubba, but to be honest, Bubba was horrible at stage 1. We'll get into him a little bit. But 1st to 4th and 6th place, I nearly banged this week's fantasy. I mean, almost perfect. Like, I got to give myself credit for that because that is amazing. But yeah, so Chase Elliott wins. 2nd is Denny Hamlin. We'll talk about Denny Hamlin because he is a hot topic in this one. 3rd is Christopher Bell. 4th is Chase Briscoe. Bubba Wallace in 5th. Tell you what, yes, Wallace, he started 7th, but stage 1, he was awful in stage 1, went as far back as 19th. That crew made some really big adjustments, and he was somehow able to get back up into the top 10. I thought, okay, he's a top 10 car. Had no shot, no idea he'd be in contention to win, and was a half a lap away from getting it done until his boss got in the way. So yeah, Bubba Wallace in 5th place. 6th is Kyle Larson. I would say a quiet day, but a normal day, you know, for that 5 car. Did what they needed to do. Were up front. They led some laps. They had a very solid day. 7th is Tyler Reddick. Reddick started good. He started out pretty well, but then after on lap 56, Cody Ware got into the wall after he had a right front tire go down, and Reddick had an awful pit stop. He then had to come back on the pit road. His team put on scuffs on, and from that point onward, he was just awful. Was always off the pace outside the top 20, but then slowly but surely, they started making rounds, started improving on that race car, and before you know it, he's back in the top 10 when it comes to crunch time with around 50 or so laps to go. So that's kind of crazy. With both 2311 cars, they qualified good, both sucked for maybe half of this race, and by overtime, they were both in contention to win and both leave with a top 10 finish, and Bubba specifically with a top 5 finish. How about 8th? Brad Keselowski in 8th place. Excellent job for him, but he was nowhere to be found. William Byron in 9th. Byron struggled in this race. I mean, he was not good at all. He was maybe on average around the 15th, 16th place position. Very unusual day for William Byron in that 2014, but somehow the stars aligned, and he somehow got a top 10 finish. But look at 10th. Look at that. Who is that? That is Shane Van Gisbergen. SVG. 10th. And he beat Ross Chastain. He straight up passed Ross Chastain on merit on a mile and a half racetrack. Tell you what, something about SVG, man. 2026. I mean, he ain't going to win on an oval, but he's getting better and better and better. 2026, he's going to lock in, I feel like. Hey, give me a minute. I need some water, man. Okay. All right, we're back at it. 11th is Ross Chastain. 12th is Todd Gillen. Nice one for that 34 team. Ty Dillon in 13th. Michael McDowell and Chase Briscoe, or Chris Busch, I should say, the top 15. 16th is Eric Jones, Daniel Suarez in 17th. Suarez was weird. He was a lap down for majority of the race. Yet for some reason, anytime he was around the leaders of Chase Elliott, Chase Briscoe, Denny Hamlin, he somehow was able to keep up with them. I don't know why. So maybe if they got lucky on some cautions, maybe they could have been up front. I don't know. But it seemed as though that even though he was a lap down, he was still able to keep up with drivers like the 9 and the 5 somehow. 18th, Justin Haley. Kyle Busch. Tell you what, the fact that Kyle Busch got a top 20, that's a win because they were god awful. They sucked. Flat out sucked. Got put just absolutely pissed. They were awful. I mean, the amount of time, I mean, you had one time where Kyle Busch late in the race just flat out rode the wall, had to downshift because he was driving into the wall so much, had that tire incident, like I said. They were just a mess, both RCR cars. I mean, Busch was as back, I think, as maybe 28th, 29th, just awful. So the fact that they got top 20 finish, I say that's a W. And Cole Custer rounding out the top 20. Joey Logano in 21st. Now, the reason why was because he was involved in a crash with him, Ryan Blaney, Austin Cindric, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., a couple others on a restart. Just a stack up happened, and then chaos ensued. And it was unfortunate because Joey Logano, despite sucking, I mean, he's qualified 3rd to last, 35th position because of his poor qualifying effort after he had a tire go down during practice. They were able to use pit strategy to their advantage. We were able to take 2 tires right before the end of stage 2, or stage 1, I should say, and they were able to stay there for majority of the race, and it wasn't until they got caught back in the bee's nest and then got caught up in that crash. Same thing with Ryan Blaney. Blaney started at the back, drove his way up to the front. Unfortunately, he got caught up in that crash, had some damage, and then he got caught speeding on that last round of pit stops after that Kyle Busch incident. That sent him to the back. That kind of ended his day. Also, Ty Gibbs also had a speeding penalty. That's why he was also in the back. Then some other notables, Alex Bowman, who finished 28th. He got into the wall after contact with SVG, who got hit by William Byron on the back straightaway. Ryan Preece in 26, he got caught up in a crash with Jarno Nemechek when he just slid up and took out Nemechek, so that's why he finished that far down. Carson Hocevar finishes 29th. Started the race strong. Him and Zane Smith had a real good battle during the early middle portion of the race, but then he got caught up in a crash late in the race when he spun on the back straightaway. 30th is Austin Cindric. Like I said, he was caught up in that accident with Logano and all those other drivers. Zane Smith, 31st. Nemechek, 32nd. Josh Berry, 33rd. He was caught up in that Nemechek and Smith crash. J.J. Ely, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., AJ Allmendinger, and Cody Ware round out your 37-car grid. Now, let's take a look at the playoff grid entering the final race of the round of 12 at Charlotte. If you are a Blaney fan or an Elliott fan, you'll be breathing calmly. Next Sunday, they are locked into the playoffs. Kyle Larson, I mean, look how far up he is in the points battle. He is all but safe. He can have a bad day and still be fine. Denny Hamlin plus 48 and Denny Hamlin plus 48, Christopher Bell plus 44. Plus 40 is William Byron. Despite his bad day, Byron leaves plus 40. So still, someone they were able to make a bad day into somewhat of a good day. Chase Briscoe as plus 21. And Joey Logano, who I should remind you, at the final lap, Joey Logano was below the cut line because Bubba Wallace was out in front. And then when Denny Hamlin and Wallace made contact, he's now up 13 points ahead of Ross Chastain. And this is kind of funny with Bubba Wallace. He entered Kansas plus 27, and despite getting stage points to stage 2 and finishing 5th, he leaves Kansas 26 points below the cut line. He gained 1 point. Tyler Reddick minus 29, and Austin Cindric minus 48. Cindric is basically in the must-win situation. Reddick and Wallace, yes, they can. I mean, Chastain, yes, he can make it on points. Wallace and Reddick, they can make it on points, but it's going to be extremely difficult to do so. One note I do want to bring up with Tyler Reddick. He had a lot going on in his mind because of what happened earlier today when his wife announced on Instagram that their son, Rookie, could be having heart failure, was having some form of heart implications, and had to be rushed to the ICU. Hopefully everything ends up working out and that Rookie is okay. So I don't know if that had a role in Reddick and how we approach this race. I'm not going to speculate on that, but I just do hope that everybody in the Reddick family, it ends up being okay. Now let's talk about that finish. Okay, so last Sunday at New Hampshire was driver on driver, Hamlin versus Nepo baby Ty Gibbs. This week, it's employee and boss, Hamlin and Bubba Wallace. Who's at fault? Let's first start off with Bubba Wallace. Bubba Wallace, his hands are not clean. And the reason why I say this is because of him and Christopher Bell. How Bubba raced Christopher Bell, I'll be honest, was a little bit... Both times coming off of turn number 4, Wallace pushed up Bell. He did. He pushed Bell up the racetrack, forced Bell to get off the gas. None of them made contact, I don't think, but he did kind of force his elbow a little bit. And so I do feel like that Hamlin, at the same time, could have had the right to do the same thing. Another thing, Hamlin was reporting power steering issues. I do think that on the final lap, final turn, that did play a role into things. When he drove it in the corner. Maybe the car, he was not able to have a grip on it because of that loss of power steering, wasn't able to hang on to it. Bubba did what he needed to do. I mean, he was right next to Hamlin, trying to make sure that no air gets on Hamlin's right side. So Bubba did everything right with Hamlin. I do think, though, that Hamlin didn't need to do that. I mean, I do feel like that because of Hamlin's point situation. He was already high up in the point standings, didn't need to do that. I also understand that during these type of situations, you're not thinking about points. I mean, Hamlin, you see the checker flag, that's like throwing meat to a shark, or meat to a tiger, or a shark smelling blood, or a bull seeing red. I mean, it's like they just lose all sense of conscience, all sense of common sense. So, I don't know. I do feel like, I don't know if Hamlin went too far. Definitely went a bit over, considering especially how he responded in his interview. Kind of just dismissed it as nothing happened. I don't know. I just feel like that maybe as the boss, Hamlin could have been a little bit more, just a tiny bit more forgiving. I mean, I don't know. Maybe a little, because Hamlin was going to be safe. Bubba needed the win. I mean, I don't know. It's very complicated. I'm trying to be objective and try to understand both sides of the situation. Everyone knows I am a Bubba Wallace fan, but I'm trying to be objective. Bubba's hands aren't clean. Hamlin's hands aren't clean also. I look at this as a racing incident. I mean, I don't think what Bubba did with Bell was a little bit much. Yeah, but he's racing for the win. He's trying to advance. I get it. Hamlin, he's racing for the win. Yes, but you don't need the win. Your driver does. It's a bit complicated, so I don't know. I didn't like how Hamlin did the interview, though. Again, I felt like he could have maybe just addressed the Wallace situation a bit better. I felt like he could have done a better job at addressing that. I will give props to Bubba because Bubba handled himself with class. Too much class. If I was him, I would have been maybe a bit harsher on the 11 car. I was like, brother, motherfucker, my owner just doored me. My owner just put me in the wall. And he didn't even need the win. I needed the win. And he just put me in the wall. So, I'll be honest. Bubba, you're maybe a bit too nice. But I understand in this media climate, anything Bubba does is always critiqued. So, he probably had to. He was probably forced to maybe be a bit nice. But, yeah, he was a bit too nice. He wasn't so nice on the radio because he called Hamlin an effing douche and then gave Hamlin the middle finger. On Sunday, I see no issue with that. I mean, he's frustrated. Anyone with a brain would be frustrated. I saw a tweet from someone that says that on Sundays, competitor versus competitor. However, on Monday, if that carries over to airspeed, that's a different situation. I am sure that they are professionals about this. At Monday, they will approach it as professionals. I hope, but I'm pretty sure they will. But on Sunday, completely understand Bubba's frustration. If I was him, I would have gone a bit harder on Hamlin. I wouldn't have been that nice. But yeah, it was a very interesting, wild, chaotic interview. And it's also now, that's 2 weeks in a row where Hamlin is involved in some type of controversy. Again, last weekend involved his Nepo baby teammate. Now this weekend involves his driver. Who's next? Who is he going to have issues with next? Because let's be honest, he choked that. Hamlin choked that in a sense. I mean, Hamlin had the best car. I believe he swept the stages, led the most laps, but specifically Toyota as a whole. Of the top 7, 5 of them were Toyotas. On the final lap, you had Wallace, Bell, Briscoe, and Reddick. And then Hamlin, you had them all in the top 5 out on the final lap. And somehow a Chevy comes out of nowhere and takes the win. And I should point out with Chase Elliott. I mean, Chase Elliott, he was always in the mix. He started in 4th place, was always in the mix all race long, always in the top 5. Again, great strategy call by Alan Gustafson. If they did not take 4 tires, if they just played along with 2 tires, I don't think he would have had that takeoff speed that he had coming to the final lap. Obviously, the Toyota drivers stepping on their own dicks helped the 9 car a lot, but I do think that 4 tire move by Alan Gustafson definitely helped them with that takeoff speed. So incredible job by that 9 car, the great strategy call, and a great car all day long, all weekend long to put themselves in position to capitalize on other drivers' mistakes. But yeah, I mean, it was shocking that you had that many Toyotas in the mix on the final lap, and yet none of them won. None of them won. It was kind of like Junior Motorsports in Daytona and during the restricted plate tracks. It's like they could be 1, 2, 3, 4, and yet neither of them win. Always find a way to take every one of themselves out of the mix. Same thing happened today. Toyota had the opportunity, 5 opportunities to win, and no one won it. A Chevy did. Now it is time for the green, yellow, and red flag. Let's start off with the green flag. I mean, it's a light green flag, and that is Hendrick Motorsports. Chase Elliott, like I say, showed aggression, great aggression in this race. Kyle Larson had a really good car, really strong car. But I give the light yellow flag just because while the 5 and the 9 were great, really, really strong, off day for the other half of Hendrick Motorsports. Like I said, William Byron, yes, he got a top 10 finish, but my God, he did not run anywhere near a top 10 car. That 24 car was awful. And the only reason why they finished in the top 10 was because of the circumstances going on with that Zane Smith crash and the multiple restarts, and they were able to take advantage of that. But they were not good at all on raw speed. If it wasn't for that Kyle Busch caution with 20 or so laps to go, they would have been in the teens, 15th, 16th place. So again, it's that inconsistency with Hendrick. It's every week is feeling like, okay, 1 car is good, the rest suck. Maybe 2 cars good, the rest suck. Never have that baseline. Even the 5, 9, and 24. It's been a while since we've seen those 3 cars. All 3 have some speed, the same level of speed. So I give them a light green flag. Yellow flag is Penske. Why am I giving the yellow flag to Penske? Granted, yes, they were able to use strategy to their advantage. Logano, Blaney just straight up drove up to the top 10, despite the fact that they did have some issues. I do worry when we get into the round of 12, or as we coming up on the round of 12. Austin Cindric, he's basically in a Muslim situation. Joe Logano, he's 13 points above the cut line. He's not safe at all. We know how good Reddick is at the Roval. He won here, I believe, in 2020. We know how good Reddick can be at the Roval. We know how good he is on these road courses. So with Logano, when it comes to Penske, I'm giving a yellow flag because I think if they make it, yeah, they're probably going to be in the championship 4. But with specifically Cindric and especially Logano, those two got to give them the yellow flag because they are not safe whatsoever, especially Logano, because that 13 points is nothing. And the red flag is got to be Denny Hamlin. Denny, you choked it. You had the I know you had your issues with power steering. I understand that. And I'll be honest, that guy's a worry because despite his issues with around 50 or so laps ago, he was still extending his lead based on those power steering issues. So maybe it's better to say the red flag is the 11 team because that final pit stop, that Jackman screwed it all up, put Denny back in 6th position, And then Denny on that final lap. He had the opportunity to have a good finish. Not only did he not get the win, but he also took his driver, his own driver, out of a shot at winning this race that would have at least gotten a 2011 car into the round of 8. So, yeah, you had the best car, led the most laps, and not only do you not win the race, now you have a pissed off driver from your own stable now that calls you an effing douche. And now it's time for us to rate the race. One of the best races of the year. This was an awesome, awesome race. I'm giving this a 9 out of 10, 90%. This was a phenomenal race. I loved it. Also, huge shout out once again to Lee Diffie and NBC, how they covered those final few laps. The crowd reaction in the background and Lee Diffie's incredible voice at the end just made it perfect. It was a fantastic race. I loved it. Kansas, Charlotte, and Homestead, those have been the top 3, my favorite racetracks so far on the schedule. And Kansas delivered again. I said the preview show, I said, hey, who knows? On a restart, wild things could happen. This could be a really good race, and it delivered. I'm giving this a 90%. But what are your thoughts on this race? Let me know in the comment section down below. As always, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more content. Until next time, my name is Jet from MDK. Thanks for watching.